Hey, hey, gang. Today we have a very, I think, fun practice. It's a little bit of a change in pace. This is one of my more favorite practices. I do this one on a regular, and it came from one of my teachers. Her name is Desiree Rumbaugh. I've been studying with her for about 10 years now. She comes to Bozeman every fall. I get to see her every fall. She lives in Southern California regularly, but her job is to travel the world and teach yoga. Um, she's an amazing, amazing hero of mine. So, giving credit where credit is due, this is called the 1 minute hold practice. And so, each pose that we do today, we will be in it for an entire minute. That seems like a short amount of time, right? A minute. It's a little bit longer sometimes in some poses than we might think. And so, the gift of this practice is to really be able to go a little bit further into each pose, find a little bit more depth, and also build some strength and build some curiosity within our pose, within our practice, within ourselves. And so have your mat if you have one. Grab that, of course, and maybe a prop. So I have a yoga block at my house. If you don't, you can use anything. I often use a couch pillow. You can also use a textbook or two. So just a little bit of a prop that will lift you up and away from the floor, or have provide you some support if you need to reach for something. There are a few standing poses in this. There are a few balance poses in this. There's a lot of variety. There's some twists. She's got it all. So this is actually only the first page. You can see, maybe you can't. It's filled. It's very tattered. I've had this for years, but it's about a page and a half practice. So I'm going to have my cheat sheet right next to me to guide us through it. We won't get through the whole thing, and it's even rare that I do the whole thing. The whole practice, if you were to do it, takes about 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I do that about once a month, but I come to this workout or this practice several times within the month and just break it down into increments, because I really love this minute to really just be in the pose, to really explore and to go a little bit deeper. So I will give you some cueing throughout the poses, and I will also leave room for some silence. So don't be too worried if I kind of go offline, at least my voice, I'll still be on screen. But just go in, breathe, be with yourself, and be with your practice. And so the first pose that we're going to get started in today, the bell will go off when the time starts and ends, but that'll keep it nice and streamlined for you today. My goal was to be at about 40 minutes for this practice. We'll see how far we get to, and we'll just play together. Thank you for joining me and for sharing this practice. This is not one that I would normally share in class, and so this is one of our gifts of this remote learning and this platform that we have, is that we get to play with and explore different options here. So finding a nice comfortable seat, I will start the timer, and close your eyes as you're ready, and hopefully you'll hear the timer start and stop, and then we will get moving from there. Take a nice deep breath. Maybe sigh it out. Beautiful, you guys. Bow the chin as you're ready. Take a nice full breath in. Exhale it through the mouth. And open the eyes whenever you're ready. We'll get started in our movement practice, our asana, right? And we'll start today in forward fold. I'll try and give you both Sanskrit and English translations. And like I said, I will start the timer each time around and we will play together. So we'll get started here in our Uttanasana, forward fold position. Wherever you are on your mat, I choose the front of the mat, so about a foot or so away from that top edge of your yoga mat or whatever surface you're playing on. And just spread those feet out about hip distance apart. Ground down and anchor down into the feet. And hinge from those hips as you're ready. So we have a minute. You can ease your way into this form. My invitation is to connect to your anchor, your foundation, which is the feet. So lifting and perhaps spreading those toes out, replacing them with a little bit more awareness, a little more intention, and a little bit more grounding here. So in all that we're going through, I think it's really important to find our roots and to find a sense of feeling somewhat grounded, right? And so I just really encourage you to root down and anchor down through the leg energy. Wherever the hands are at, they may or may not meet the floor today. Of course, that's not the goal, right? Soften the elbows. So if the hands are up on the shins or even the thighs, bend out through those elbows. Bend and soften through the knees. And let go of the head and the neck. So this is really just your opportunity to drop in. That was a very fast minute. Our next minute, we start in downward facing dog. So go ahead and place those hands down. Step one foot back and then the other. Press those hips back and high. Go to where we left off, relaxing and releasing through the head and the neck energy. Plug in through the foundation of the hands. Try to loosen up the wrists. Bend the elbows softly. Hug the forearms in and melt the heart. Feel free to find movement or stillness, whichever speaks to you. Oftentimes I'm bending one knee and then the other. Maybe I'm nodding my head. Maybe I'm even opening my mouth and releasing the jaw energy or tightness. Do what speaks to you. Come back to your breath and just listen to the rhythm here. Good. So here we just go ahead and shift forward into plank pose. Maybe the hands are getting tired now. So again, that energy of keeping the knuckle pads really rooted is going to be super crucial here. You can always, always, always soften the knees down to the mat. Okay. You can also, if this is too much, lower down to forearm plank, although we have that one still in this practice. If you're up on your hands, really again, engage through that foundation. Wherever you're at, if you're on the hands, bend the elbows, soften that joint, but wherever you're playing and working here, melt through the heart. Keep the head right in line with the rest of the spine. Oftentimes it likes to drop, so just keeping the sides of the neck long. Take a nice full breath and feel it radiate throughout your entire body. Draw the belly in toward the spine. And step the feet toward the hands. We're going to bring the big toes together so the feet are touching. Bend through the knees and reach the arms forward initially. Yeah, so we're in this seated pose. This is called Utkatasana, also known as chair pose. Face the palms together. Remember how we played with that block between our hands in class? Anchor those shoulder blades back so the head of the arm bones move toward the back plane of the body, and then try and lift those hands up. Maybe they reach over the shoulders, maybe they don't today. Wherever you're working, I really invite you to hug your midline, those inner legs, charge those up. Soften down through the shoulders, create length in the neck, and take the head back gently. Good. Curl the belly inward. Find your breath and sit perhaps a little bit deeper down. Good. Nice. Fold forward. Right back into it. We head to forearm plank. So for this version, I'm going to invite us to keep our palms down. Okay. Elbows right in line with the shoulders. Knees lifted or lowered, whichever feels best for you. Forearms parallel to each other. So let those forearms create the number 11. Notice your elbows. Are they moving to the outsides of the shoulders? We want to keep the elbow creases directly under the shoulder blades. Root back through your heels, charge up the leg muscles, and gently draw the belly inward toward that spine. Relax your jaw, lengthen your neck. Listen to your breath rhythm. Lower the pelvis down. We'll come into cobra pose next. So shifting those hands alongside the ribs, gently behind the shoulders. Click into the feet, and maybe you start really low today in your first cobra. Like we said, we have a full minute to explore this, so maybe your cobra is just really mellow initially. Wherever you're working, however high you're floating up through the chest, anchor down through those legs. Draw elbows inward. And bring your awareness up to the neck and the chin parallel to the floor, and then moving that head back any amount so that you really kind of feel the upper back starting to explore a little bit more opening. If you're up a little bit higher, be sure that those elbows are soft. Be sure that the glutes are active. And be sure that the shoulders are moving down and away from those ears. Good. Lower the chest down, and we'll move back into downward facing dog. Shifting those hands a little bit further forward, spreading out through the palms, lifting up the knees. So if you've noticed, I've left a 5-second intermission, if you will, between each of the poses to give us an opportunity to set up for the next one. We've been here before, so just let go. Listen to the trueness of your breath. Just follow its rhythm. Feel free to close the eyes. Draw the spine a little bit longer here. And lower to the knees. The next pose we haven't done yet, it's called Vashisthasana. Plant down through your left hand. Turn to your left side and come into side plank. So I'm going to leave my right hand on my hip for now. Okay, that's the top one. You can always lower down to your forearm if you need to in here. Okay, spread out through that bottom hand if you're on it, and then soften through that elbow. Wherever you're working, lift your hips up a little bit higher. So take your shoulder, your top one back. Feel those shoulders coming together on the back body. And then if you'd like to, stretch that top arm straight up and out of the right shoulder socket. Okay, so those hips are really lifting. That's super important here. The feet can be stacked. They can be staggered. You can also lower the bottom knee down to the floor. Okay, so you've got lots of options here. I just really encourage you to listen to your body, listen to your needs, and do what feels right for you. Good, release that, shift sides. So this one we get to do on both sides, coming onto that right arm. There we are, lift the bottom hip up as you're ready, and then lift it up even higher, okay? So the idea here, maybe even place your left hand on your chest, and then press the chest into the hand, so you're opening your heart a little bit more, bringing a little more fullness into that heart center. Good, move that top shoulder onto the back plane of the body, and then extend the fingertips toward the ceiling. Yeah, remember to keep those hips nice and high. Keep the belly offering toward the spine. And feel free to look down toward the floor, look straight ahead, whichever direction you're facing, or take the gaze up and look toward your ceiling. Soft bottom elbow, shoulder blades moving more and more onto the back body, bottom hip lifting. Almost there, team, you've got it. Good, go ahead and release that. Come to hands and knees, and we'll move the right foot between the hands. We'll come to warrior one. Lift the back left knee, okay? Sink deep into your right thigh, and then stretch. I'll move back so you can kind of see me. Stretch the arms up overhead. Just like we did in chair pose, you can start with the arms parallel to the floor. Draw humerus bone into the shoulder sockets, and then lift the arms back overhead. Good, root through your back leg. Draw that back heel toward the floor. Look at your front knee, make sure it's right over that front ankle. It likes to go in or outside of the ankle, so I just want you to create that centering. Sink a little deeper down into it. So as much as you're dropping into the front leg, press equally as much into the back leg. Almost there, connect to breath. Good, release that. And come forward and change sides. So that left leg steps forward, the right leg reaches back. Another version of warrior one is to pivot the back heel down, okay? And then if that's too much on your right knee, that's why we keep that back heel lifted, okay? Because from here with the back heel to the floor, we have to take that right hip forward. So both hips face the front of your space, okay? Oftentimes I find that that's just a little bit too much of an opening, too much of a stretch on my back leg and on my back. So that's why I like that heel lifted on the back foot. It just creates a more natural rotation of the femur joint. Check out that front knee of yours. Sink a little bit more deeply into it. Good, lower the arms, step forward. We're gonna change it back out. So right leg forward, left leg back. Virabhadrasana 3. Okay, from here, bring your hands to your hips. Engage the core muscles and lower halfway so your chest parallels the floor. This might be plenty. If it is, stay put. If you want to go for full Virabhadrasana 3, you lift the back foot off the floor. Also known as warrior 3. Okay, so the left foot is lifted, but it's really active, it's really engaged. All right, and then you can leave the hands on the hips, or you can reach the hands back behind you. Full version of Vira 3 is to stretch the fingers forward. Find that breath, find that steadiness. So just fixate on something on the floor that's not moving, and then breathe. Relax your jaw. Yeah, come on out of that. Oh, feel that burn on the right hip. Let's change sides. We'll go right into the next one. Go ahead and wait for the bell or the chime, but step that right foot back. Here we go. Do the form that works best for you. So as I mentioned earlier, this is really just an exploration here. An exercise kind of in curiosity. Making sure both hips are square down toward the floor and that right hip isn't lifting. Find the arm version that works for you. The back foot, the one that's lifted, the toes angle down, they angle or point down toward the floor. Again, that's just going to create that neutral rotation of the femur joint. Sorry, femur bone in the hip joint. Nice long neck, so making sure that the chin's not lifted or tucked. Soften the jaw. Nice, release through that, both feet to the floor. And then we come all the way down to hands and knees. Anahatasana. So from all fours, position hands and knees. Keep the hips stacking over the knees, and then just go ahead, stretch the arms forward. Making sure you're shoulder distance apart. Ideally, the forehead rests to the floor or a block. Maybe it doesn't reach. If that's too much on the shoulders, just keep the gaze down. Keep the neck long, and maybe even close the eyes. Check in your mind's eye with the hips and make sure that they're tracking over those knees. And then curl the belly button inward toward the spine, supporting the low back so it's not overarched. Lovely. Walk that back up to all fours position. Then we come into a seated twist. So I'm going to grab my couch pillow, have a sit down on it, and extend legs out in front. Bend your right knee. Keep it to the inside of your extended legs. Sit up tall. And then release the left hand behind you. Stay forward for a moment. Release your right hand to your lap. So right hand is super uninvolved, okay? Bend your back elbow. And then inhale, stretch up tall through the spine. Exhale and turn any amount toward the left. You'll notice that in these seated poses, I'm always going to be propped up on something. I'm always going to be sitting up for that little gentle lift. Just going to create a little bit more mobility in the hip joints. But in this twist, I really want you to keep that back elbow bent. And I really want you to move from the side bodies, the oblique muscles, rather than using your arm to open your torso. Good. Use a big breath in to come around. Switch legs. Really plug into that grounded left foot. Sit up tall. Move the right hand to the space behind you. Relax the left one. Inhale, side body long. Exhale, turn, open any amount. Again, with the gaze, you can look in the direction you're facing. You can look over that back shoulder, or you can stay neutral and just continue to look forward. Okay, but wherever you are, move the chin, move the back of the head back gently so that neck finds its length. Nice, deep, full breaths here into this twist. And then bring your awareness to your left sit bone. Press down into the left sit bone or this left side of the body a little bit deeper. Inhale and come around. We'll come back up to standing. for a reverse warrior. So as I said, some of these are new poses. Right foot forward, left foot back. We're gonna pivot the left heel down. Okay, so heel to heel alignment. Drop into your front lunge. Good. Left hand down to the left hip. Right hand, reach it straight out in front. Okay, and then as you're ready, pivot your palm on the right hand upward toward the ceiling, and then stretch back and overhead. I'm hoping you guys can see me. I'm gonna go for the side profile. Okay, so reverse warrior. What we're working here is really stretching the right ribs. Your top palm is kind of facing down toward the floor. Your back shoulder, that left one, moves again onto the back plane of the body, and the belly gently draws inward. Find a steady breath here. Good. Switch sides. Left forward, right back. Pivot that back heel down. Right hand to hip, shrug the shoulder onto the back. Check that front knee, especially in this pose, it really likes to roll in. So I really want you to keep an eye on that. Arm reaches straight out, palm up, and then inhale, reach overhead, long left side body. Oftentimes I'll look straight up in this position, but be curious about what the neck is doing in that form, okay? Sometimes it's easier to look straight in front of you so that the neck isn't kinked. Both feet are working actively. That top arm is reaching maybe toward the back wall of your space or whatever is directly behind you. And we're breathing here into the left side body. Soft jaw, just come back into your breath. Sink deeper into your lunge. Nicely done. Moving right through this. So we're going to do still some standing poses. We have not gone over the next two yet. Right foot forward, left foot back into a lunge. Pivot the back heel down. I'm going to adjust the camera here so you can see me a little bit better. Left heel is down once again. Bend through the right knee, left hand to the hip. Right elbow down to the thigh. Okay, so watching again through that knee alignment, start to turn your torso open toward the left. So what we're going for here is stacking the shoulders and working both of them onto the back plane of the body. Good. If you want to go a little further, you kind of slice your top arm over your ear so your left fingers point straight forward and your palm is down. Move the head back gently. Try not to rest too deeply or too hard on your thigh, so create a little softness through that top elbow. Turn your body open a little bit more toward the left. Good. From here, release the left hand to the hip. We're going to come to triangle pose. So we're just going to start to straighten that front right leg. Maybe that'll do the trick. Front right leg. Again, we're going to turn open here. And that right hand is going to slide down to the ankle. Or maybe it just rests on the shin. Okay? But same thing here. The idea is to turn open and to lengthen through the side body. Okay? So I want you to anchor down through that back foot a little bit further. Curl the belly in toward the spine a little bit more. Shoulders stacked, neck long, and then the left hand can float straight up toward your ceiling. For me, I like my gaze down toward my front foot. But again, your options are to look straight ahead or to look up toward the sky if you want to work on balance. Use your core strength here. Make sure it's active. Good. Bring the hands down to the floor, step forward, and switch out feet. So same sequence on the other side. Pivot that right foot down. We'll start with a bent left knee. Elbow to thigh. Up, other hand to other hip. So from here, just kind of steer with your back elbow and turn to the right, okay? And then you can pull the belly inward, press through that back foot, drop down into your left knee. Yeah, good. Float maybe the top arm overhead. You can't see my hand very well, but it's reaching forward. If I shift back for you, whoop, fall over maybe, the arm reaches forward toward the front of my yoga mat. Relax and sink into this. So working in balance with how much you're letting go and softening. Stretch from that back heel through the front fingertips. Good. Right hand to the hip. Straighten through the left leg. And we'll come to triangle pose. So we're moving from, that first one was side angle pose. Now we move towards triangle pose. Okay. Left hand to that shin or ankle. Right hand starts on the hip always, so we can really work that top shoulder back. Good. Stretch again from the right foot, the back one, through the side body and even through the crown of the head. Good. Top right hand can stretch straight up toward the ceiling. Make sure that arm bone's not coming forward. And if you look up towards your hand, you'll notice sometimes it does stuff that you don't think it's doing up there. So just make sure that it's really coming straight out of that shoulder girdle. Long neck here. Nice, easy steadiness through the body. Release and move through forward fold. Then we'll come back to that right foot forward. Left foot back, we're going to keep the heel lifted initially, okay? Hands to frame the front foot. Right leg is straight. I'm going to try and go from a side profile so you have a better visual here. Yeah, so if that left leg is straight, and you might have a bend in it, listen to your hamstrings, okay? What I want you to do is take your right hip back. You'll feel a nice deep stretch there. And then stay on your fingertips and work a nice straight spine. So a lot of times it's going to be more rounded, right? That's the natural way that our bodies move and work. But what I'm asking is that you stretch that heart through and open the chest forward. You're just going to soften that gaze straight down in front of you. Really hug the inner thighs toward one another. And breathe. Good. Change sides. Right foot back, left foot forward. So just start by squaring off the hips. Left hip moves back, and then those thighs can really engage toward one another. Lengthen through the heart. If there's anything to focus on here in this form, it's keeping that back flat and straight. Okay? So don't worry too much about where that front knee is and how much it bends. That's not the important part. You're going to get a stretch in that front leg, yeah? So what we want to do is explore a nice long spine and even a heart melt. You can really even, once you get the hang of all of these cues, you can really start to work a lumbar curve here too. And that's just going to deepen that stretch on the front leg. So stay in that nice long stance and walk your hands to the right. Make the feet parallel. Okay, so you're in this long-legged or wide-legged forward fold. Okay, we'll wait for the bell. My hands are going to stay under my chest, and you'll see my spine lengthening a little bit. Bend your knees as much as you need to here. I want you to bring your awareness to the outsides of your feet and press those pinky toe edges a little bit more firmly down. If you want to fold deeper, you'll just bend those elbows, okay? But notice my upper back doesn't round. My elbows bend and my hinge comes from the middle part of the body, right out of the hips there. Find a long neck and settle on your breath for the next 20 seconds. Good, breathe it in and lift up. Pivot your back foot forward and then step toward the front of your mat. Widen your stance. I'm gonna go about mat distance apart, maybe further, okay? And then you're gonna bend at your knees quite a bit. We're coming to Malasana, squat pose. And we'll bring our hands toward our heart in that prayer position. Elbows to the inner thighs or the inner thighs. Try not to keep them on your knees. And again, the temptation is to crunch inward, right? We want to press into the hands, offer resistance between the elbows and the thighs, and open the heart. Yet again, we have that nice long neck. So you see a theme here, right? It's essentially the same cueing, the same things over and over again, but just putting them into different variations. It's okay if your feet are angled out. It's okay if your heels don't meet the floor. And if this is too much for you, come way out of it. So lift those hips up a lot higher or rest on something. Oftentimes I'll sit on a yoga block. Have a seat. We're gonna wrap things up a little bit and then we might even explore the back half of this practice in another episode. So having a seat, if you're needing to prop up on something, go right ahead. Soles of the feet come together for, I'm blanking right now. I almost have to cheat, which is silly. Bakasana. Good, so bring the hands behind you. Open the heart. Peel the toes away from one another. That's gonna charge up the leg muscles and drop those knees downward. If the hands are behind you, the elbows are soft. If you can keep an open chest, you bring the hands around the front of the shins. And you peel the heart through the support of the shoulders. And for those of you that are super flexible and want to open those inner legs more, bend the elbows. So that's going to keep the heart lifting. Don't round, okay? Keep the heart shining forward and through and fold forward yet again from the hips. So like I said, it's always the same cueing, just a matter of formatting it differently. Nice, gang. We're going to come back to a seated twist. Extend your right leg. Good. This time we're going to curl the left foot over the top of the right thigh. Okay. Both hands to the shin to start and lift up nice and tall. The same amount that you're lifting up. Exhale and release energy down into the hips. Release left hand behind you. Okay, release right arm to the floor. Keep it out of the equation. And then inhale, side body long. Exhale, start to slowly turn. Moving that left shoulder back. So once you're in the general form, you can rest your forearm to your thigh and give a little bit more kind of help, I would say. A little bit of an assist. But we just don't want to like really force into this twist. Press down through both sit bones evenly. Rise up through the crown of your head and turn any amount more toward the left. Take the head back gently. I'm looking kind of neutrally so that my voice is still audible, but feel free to take your gaze over that back shoulder if that serves your neck. Good, big breath in. Unfold. Shift the legs. Left leg extends, right knee bends, cross it on over. So really what you want to be aware of is both sit bones even. The right one's going to want to lift. You want to press into it. Okay. Side body long. Exhale, right hand releases. And then we start to slowly turn into it. Keep your left hand free. Press both of your legs in together. And then when you're ready, rest that forearm to the thigh. Press deeper into that left sit bone. And go ahead and find your breath for the second half here of this form. Big breath in to come around. Good, you guys. So since we are already seated, we'll just come back to center and close with another minute of quietude and meditation. Perhaps the next video, it's starting to get me thinking now, perhaps the next video you see will be the back half of this, which looking ahead has some interesting stuff involved, including handstand, which I'm not unfortunately going to give you guys this semester, and that just breaks me. The studio space we were in was just so perfect for learning those inversions, those arm balances. I'm just not going to do it in the comfort of our home. I've had too many crashes, if you will, practicing handstand in whatever space that I've had. Okay, so I'm not gonna put that on you. But that's okay. We'll get it eventually. Yeah. So let's go ahead and just come to seated. I'm gonna hit the button and we will just settle in, eyes closed, breath deep. Bring the hands together at the chest and bow the chin. Surrender into the fruits and the wisdom of your practice today. Offer gratitude for the movement, gratitude for the breath, and gratitude for this day. Namaste. Thank you, and we will see you all again very soon. Take care, you all.